Tonight, a silence falls deeper than any you have known. Every step you took through struggle, every moment you endured in quiet patience has been preparing you for this very instant. The battles you believed would never end, they have ended. The weight you carried, unseen and unspoken, has shaped your awareness, sharpened your strength, and refined your character beyond measure. Few know the true meaning behind such trials. In the hidden chambers of Shaolin temples, masters speak of moments like this, moments when the student emerges from shadow into light, when the cycle of suffering closes and a new path opens. It is not merely survival, it is transformation. You are standing at the edge of a threshold, a point where the echoes of past hardship no longer dictate your steps. In this video, we will uncover the principles that guided you here, teachings whispered for centuries, lost to many yet alive in the silent rhythm of discipline, mindfulness, and inner mastery. You will learn how stillness became your shield, how courage quietly blossomed in unseen places, and how alignment with a higher purpose carried you through. We will reveal truths rarely spoken, insights hidden in the folds of Shaolin wisdom, showing you how this completion is more than an ending. It is a permanent shift. By the time this journey concludes, you will understand why these struggles were sacred, why the trials were necessary, and how you can now walk forward without fear of repetition, guided by clarity, presence, and divine alignment. Welcome to Shaolin Soulfire, a place where wisdom meets awakening, where strength is born from silence. Subscribe now and step into the path that awaits beyond the trials. There is a quiet within you that has been waiting, unnoticed, beneath the noise of struggle and expectation. In that quiet, the world shifts and truth becomes visible. The masters of Shaolin have always taught that the path to mastery does not begin with movement but with stillness. The body may act, the mind may plan, yet the deepest power emerges only when you pause, when you allow yourself to simply be. In the temple halls, disciples learn first to sit, to breathe, to observe the rhythm of their own hearts. It is in these moments of silence that clarity rises. The distractions of the past, the regrets, the fears, they settle like dust, revealing the contours of what truly matters. Stillness is not emptiness. It is a mirror reflecting your inner strength, your hidden wisdom, and the patterns that once bound you. When you stop chasing, when you stop resisting, a new awareness flows. You notice the currents beneath your thoughts, the subtleties in your actions, the opportunities that were always present but unseen. Life's cycles, once repetitive and heavy, become visible, and you begin to move not against them but with them. Each breath, each pause, becomes a teacher, guiding you toward alignment with something greater than yourself. The Shaolin way reminds us that the loudest victories are silent. The most profound transformations happen within the stillness where patience, observation, and inner centering converge. In learning to hold still, to listen to the rhythm beneath your own being, you discover a power that no challenge can touch, a power that is patient, enduring, and deeply free. There is a forge within the mind, silent yet relentless, where thoughts and emotions are tempered into clarity and strength. The ancients of Shaolin knew that the body can move with skill, the hands can strike with precision, but without discipline of the mind, true mastery remains elusive. Meditation, focus, and deliberate intention are not mere practices, they are the sculptors of freedom. Each day presents countless impulses, distractions, and echoes of old habits. Without awareness, these currents carry the mind into repetition, into cycles of frustration and unrest. But through patient discipline, a shift occurs. The mind learns to observe without attachment, to feel without being consumed, to respond rather than react. In this space, the storms of anger, fear, and doubt lose their grip. What once demanded constant struggle now meets a calm, unshakable presence. Controlling the mind does not mean suppressing thought or denying emotion. It means understanding their rhythm, noticing their patterns, and choosing action aligned with purpose rather than impulse. In doing so, the mind becomes a vessel of liberation, capable of steering life with clarity rather than being tossed by circumstance. The trials that once seemed unavoidable begin to appear as lessons, stepping stones that no longer define the spirit. In the wisdom of Shaolin, mastery of the mind mirrors mastery of life itself. The hands that strike without hesitation, the feet that move without falter, the heart that endures without fear, all reflect the discipline cultivated quietly within. True power emerges not in reaction, but in intentional thought. Not in chaos, but in measured stillness. The mind, when trained, becomes a guiding light, a presence that moves with patience, responds with discernment, and shapes a life no longer bound by old patterns. There is an invisible current that flows through every life, a rhythm beyond the senses, guiding moments with precision no eye can see. The ancients spoke of it as the will of heaven, the divine order, or the intelligence that shapes all paths. Every challenge, every trial is woven into this greater design, not as punishment, but as teaching, as preparation, as necessary turning points along the journey of the soul. To trust in this current requires patience and surrender. The mind, conditioned to seek control, struggles with the unseen forces that guide life's course. Yet those who learn to align with this intelligence discover a profound freedom. Difficult phases, no matter how intense, carry the seal of timing that is perfect, even when it feels impossible. The moment of completion is not coincidence, it is the universe or God guiding the story to its next chapter. Surrender does not mean passivity, it is a conscious yielding, a quiet recognition that resistance multiplies suffering, while alignment fosters clarity. When the heart rests in this awareness, fear of repetition fades. The past loses its dominion, for every step has already served its purpose. The trials endured are transformed from weight to wisdom, and the spirit moves forward with renewed trust. Ancient masters understood that mastery of life begins with mastery of perception, seeing the invisible thread that connects every event, every encounter, every struggle. By attuning to this divine rhythm, one learns to act in harmony rather than opposition. The discipline of the mind, the stillness of the heart, and the courage to surrender converge. In this space, peace is not earned, it is recognized, already present. Alignment with the divine will is the gateway to a life unshaken by the echoes of the past, a life flowing with the intelligence that moves all things toward purpose and fulfillment. There is a quiet power in noticing, truly noticing, the movements of the mind, the rhythm of the breath, the sensations of the body. Mindfulness is not a practice of perfection, but an art of conscious living, an awakening to each moment as it unfolds. In the teachings of the ancients, it is said that awareness is the first step toward freedom, for what is seen can be understood, and what is understood can be released. When the mind drifts into regret for what has passed, or clings to fear of what may come, it becomes a prison. Desire and attachment tighten the walls, and the spirit feels constrained, repeating cycles long thought unbreakable. Yet when one cultivates mindfulness, these patterns are illuminated without judgment. Each thought, each impulse becomes visible, like ripples on still water, and the mind learns to observe without being swept away. Through this conscious awareness, a new freedom emerges. The past no longer dictates action, for it is held lightly, recognized as a teacher rather than a master. The future is no longer a source of anxiety, for attention rests in the present, where choice and clarity reside. The simple act of noticing, breathing, pausing, listening becomes a meditation, a doorway to liberation. The Shaolin masters often remind disciples that mastery is not in controlling the world, but in mastering the self. Mindfulness trains the mind to respond with discernment, to act with presence, and to remain rooted amidst life's turbulence. Each moment observed with awareness strengthens the spirit, dissolves habitual patterns, and reveals the depth of life that exists beyond reaction. In living consciously, one discovers that true freedom is not a distant goal. It is the quiet unfolding of the present, unclaimed by the shadows of regret or the chains of desire. There is a weight that lingers quietly, invisible yet heavy, the weight of past mistakes, of grudges held, of words unspoken and wounds unhealed. The path of Shaolin teaches that to carry this burden is to remain bound, trapped in cycles that repeat endlessly. Forgiveness is the key, that releases these chains, not as an act of weakness but as the highest expression of strength. To forgive oneself is to recognize that every choice, every misstep has served a purpose in the shaping of character and spirit. The ancients understood that judgment and self-reproach cloud the mind and harden the heart. Only through compassionate acknowledgement of one's own humanity can clarity emerge, and the lessons of hardship be fully integrated. Equally important is the act of forgiving others, not for their sake, but for one's own liberation. Holding on to anger or resentment anchors the soul in the past, preventing growth and peace. Shaolin masters speak of emotional purification as a deliberate letting go, a shedding of attachments that no longer serve life's forward flow. In the stillness that follows release, the mind is clear and the heart feels unburdened, like a river freed from debris. Release does not signal surrender to weakness, it signals mastery over self. It is the conscious decision to step beyond the pull of old cycles, to rise above reaction and reclaim power. Strength is measured not in the ability to hold on, but in the courage to let go. Every act of forgiveness, every moment of release becomes a step toward inner sovereignty, a reclamation of the space within that was once claimed by fear, anger, or regret. Through this discipline, the spirit discovers its freedom, and the path ahead opens unshadowed. The heart, unencumbered, moves forward with clarity and balance, guided by wisdom that only comes from surrendering what no longer belongs. There is a fire that is forged not in ease, but in the heat of challenge. True courage is not the absence of fear, but the steadfastness that arises when fear is faced and endured. The ancients of Shaolin understood that each trial, each moment of resistance shapes a courage that cannot be borrowed, taught, or faked. It must be earned through experience. Enduring hardships, observing the patterns of struggle, and moving forward despite uncertainty creates a foundation deeper than any circumstance. This courage is permanent, not fleeting. It is embedded in the very fibers of the spirit, a quiet certainty that no past difficulty can shake. When the mind is aligned with awareness and the heart tempered by patience, confidence emerges naturally, rooted in the understanding of one's own capacity to rise again and again, even in the face of the unknown. With this inner strength comes freedom. The challenges that once seemed overwhelming lose their power. They no longer dictate the steps of the present or cloud the vision of the future. The spirit carries a shield of experience and a clarity of purpose, allowing it to move gracefully through life without being caught in repetitive cycles of fear or doubt. The Shaolin masters remind us that courage is both an art and a discipline. It is cultivated in stillness, in reflection, in the conscious choice to act in alignment with higher understanding rather than reaction. This courage is not loud or boastful, it is serene, grounded, and unwavering. It becomes a guiding force, ensuring that old patterns cannot return, that the lessons learned are carried forward as tools for wisdom, not chains for the spirit. In this way, enduring fear does more than teach. It transforms. The heart, once uncertain, now walks with quiet confidence. The mind, once reactive, now navigates with clarity. And the soul, tempered through trials, carries forward a courage that will never be diminished. Each trial leaves a mark, subtle yet profound, if only the mind takes the time to notice. In the quiet reflection that follows challenge, the lessons reveal themselves, not as abstract ideas, but as threads woven into the fabric of being. Patience, once tested, becomes a strength. Resilience, once demanded, becomes a companion. Self-awareness, once hidden, becomes a guiding light. The ancients taught that experience alone does not transform. It is reflection, observation, and conscious integration that allow wisdom to settle into the core of the self. Integration is the alchemy of turning experience into lived knowledge. Memories of struggle are not enough. They must be absorbed, understood, and allowed to shape choices, reactions, and intentions. Like a master sculptor shaping stone, each insight must be refined and applied until it becomes a natural part of who one is. Without this process, lessons fade, and the cycles of life risk repeating, unbroken and unlearned. True mastery emerges in the daily application of what has been discovered. It is not in grand gestures but in small, deliberate actions, responding with awareness instead of instinct, acting with integrity instead of impulse, observing before reacting. Each conscious choice reinforces the wisdom earned through hardship, embedding it deeper into character and spirit. Shaolin philosophy holds that the path is continuous. The knowledge gained in one trial prepares the mind and heart for the next, but only when integrated does it become a tool rather than a memory. This conscious living ensures that the spirit is not bound by the past, but guided by experience, clarity, and discipline. In this way, lessons are not left behind. They become part of the self, flowing naturally through each thought, each action, each moment. Life becomes a canvas where wisdom is practiced, not merely remembered, and the mastery of self unfolds as both art and discipline, quiet yet profound. When a cycle reaches its completion, a subtle opening occurs within the spirit, a space where the noise of struggle fades and clarity begins to flow. The ancients spoke of this as the moment when the soul aligns with the higher self, with God, or with the source that underlies all existence. It is not a force imposed from without, but a presence recognized within, a quiet guiding intelligence that has always been near, waiting for readiness to meet it. Through the trials endured, the heart has grown receptive. Patience, stillness, and disciplined awareness create a channel for insight that was once clouded by fear, doubt, and distraction. Now divine guidance flows more clearly, not as a command, but as an invitation, a subtle nudge in thought, a quiet reassurance in decision, a protective presence in moments of uncertainty. The soul begins to recognize the signs, the patterns, the whisper of purpose behind events that once seemed random. This connection transforms the way life is experienced. Challenges no longer repeat endlessly, for the spirit now moves in harmony with a higher intelligence. The alignment ensures that future choices are informed by awareness, tempered by wisdom, and guided by insight. Actions become less reactive and more deliberate, flowing naturally from understanding rather than impulse. Shaolin masters often remind disciples that true power lies in attunement. It is not in dominating circumstances, but in listening to the currents beneath them, in moving in step with the unseen rhythm that shapes all things. By connecting deeply with the higher self and the divine, the practitioner becomes a vessel of clarity, courage, and discernment. The past loses its hold, and the future unfolds under the watchful guidance of wisdom that is both ancient and ever-present, steadying each step along the path of conscious mastery. The person who once walked through shadow and struggle has stepped into a new presence. The trials that once defined the edges of life now rest behind, leaving a spirit reshaped by endurance, reflection, and awareness. This transformation is not visible in the world as spectacle, but in the subtle movements of the heart, the steadiness of the mind, and the quiet confidence that flows through every action. To embody this new state is to live as a reflection of mastery itself. Patience is no longer tested, it is a constant companion, flowing naturally in moments of tension. Integrity is no longer a concept, it is expressed effortlessly in thought, word, and deed. Stillness becomes a foundation, allowing the mind to respond with clarity rather than habit. Courage, once hard-won through struggle, now courses through the spirit, unshakable and serene. Life, from this point forward, unfolds with a rhythm shaped by conscious choice rather than reaction. Each decision aligns with awareness, each action mirrors understanding, and each challenge is met with the wisdom born of experience. The cycles that once repeated endlessly no longer hold sway, for the soul now carries the lessons deeply within. The ancients of Shaolin understood that transformation is not a moment but a way of being. It is expressed not in words but in presence. The spirit that has endured, observed, and integrated emerges whole, capable of walking through life with a sense of divine guidance and inner sovereignty. In this living embodiment, the past is honored yet released, the present is fully embraced, and the future is met with clarity and trust. Every breath, every choice, every step is a reflection of the mastery cultivated in silence, struggle, and reflection. The transformation is complete, not in appearance, but in essence, and life now flows under the steady hand of awareness, courage, and alignment with the higher order that guides all things. There is a quiet power in turning the heart toward gratitude. The masters of old taught that every experience, whether joyous or painful, carries a lesson meant to shape the spirit. The trials that once weighed heavily now become gifts when viewed through the lens of awareness. Each challenge faced, each obstacle endured, and each moment of doubt or fear has contributed to a deeper understanding, a stronger mind, and a more resilient soul. Gratitude anchors the transformation that has taken place within. It is not mere courtesy or sentiment, it is recognition of the unseen currents that guided every step. The wisdom gained through struggle becomes permanent when met with appreciation, and the energy of the past, no matter how intense, loses the ability to return and disturb the present. In this way, gratitude is both shield and compass, rooting the spirit in awareness while pointing toward clarity, growth, and alignment with the divine. To be grateful is to honor the guidance of God, the source, or the higher intelligence that orchestrates life's intricate patterns. It is to see the hand of the unseen in both hardship and ease, trusting that every moment was necessary for the unfolding of purpose. This recognition transforms memory into mastery and experience into living wisdom. Ancient Shaolin teachings remind us that the cultivated heart is a force of stability. By holding gratitude as a foundation, patience, courage, and clarity are reinforced, and the lessons of the past are carried forward as tools rather than burdens. The spirit moves freely, no longer bound by cycles of regret, fear, or longing, but anchored in conscious appreciation. In this state, life becomes a practice of reverence for the journey, a quiet acknowledgement that every step has shaped the self, and every experience, every teacher, every challenge is a thread woven into the tapestry of awakening and mastery. Life has guided you through challenges, not to break you, but to awaken the strength and wisdom that was always within. Every trial, every moment of patience and reflection has shaped a spirit capable of moving freely, consciously, and with purpose. By embracing stillness, discipline, mindfulness, courage, forgiveness, and alignment with the divine, you have completed a chapter that once seemed endless. You are no longer bound by past cycles. The lessons you have integrated now flow through your choices, your presence, and your actions. Life unfolds differently when guided by awareness and higher wisdom, and every decision becomes a reflection of the mastery you have cultivated. This is not merely survival, it is conscious living, a harmony between inner clarity and the unfolding path of the world around you. Take these insights into each day. Pause in stillness. Act with integrity. Respond with awareness, release what no longer serves you. Trust in the guidance that surrounds and flows through you. In this practice, you will find freedom, resilience, and a quiet confidence that cannot be shaken. May this moment be a reminder that your journey has prepared you for a life aligned with purpose and grace. Let the wisdom gained guide your steps, and let every breath be an expression of peace, clarity, and presence. If this message resonates, support our community of seekers by liking this video and subscribing to Shaolin Soulfire. Walk the path of mastery with us, and let the light of awareness illuminate each day ahead.